Welcome back to another episode of Before You Buy, the show where we give you some straight-up gameplay and our first impressions of the latest games releasing. Selling over 67 million copies since it debuted way back in 2014, Mario Kart 8 has been a monolithic presence on Nintendo consoles for more than a decade, and it's almost hard to imagine what a follow-up would look like. It's essentially the Smash Bros. Ultimate of Mario Kart with a staggering amount of tracks, playable characters, unlockable vehicles. That game is a celebration of the entire Mario Kart series with both incredibly designed new tracks and a huge selection of classic tracks spanning the entire history of the legendary series. So they had to do something different, and yeah, Mario Kart World is a pretty big departure for the series, but it's also not that big of a departure either. Hi folks, it's Falcon, and today on gameranx, let's talk Mario Kart World. In some ways, this game goes back to the basics by removing the mind-bending anti-gravity track features, but to make up for it, it goes open world. I get why they did this. The anti-gravity stuff would maybe make a little bit less sense when you're sort of in a consistent world. It might feel weird, but then again, you're also able to be a cow driving a car, so... I mean, the world is the whole world part of Mario Kart World, and it's not a half-baked gimmick. Every track in the game is a part of a huge landmass that can be freely explored however you want. There's 30 tracks, which is a lot more than the 24 that Mario Kart 8 had when it first launched, but it pales in comparison to the 96 that it eventually got through DLC. Still, when factoring in the open world and how it actually connects the races, this, I think, is fair to call the biggest Mario Kart yet. It could be the biggest Mario Kart yet. And while the levels aren't as whacked out or crazy as some of the ones from Mario Kart 8, the ones in World are easily some of the best designed races in the entire series. There's new mechanics that add a lot of satisfying depth to the gameplay. Like, the power-ups have been reworked so that, like, the most annoying powers, like the lightning bolt and that one that blocks half the screen with ink, they appear a lot less frequently. There's also this whole totally new game mode called Kart Tour that's a whole lot of fun and adds an exciting survival element to the game. World has my favorite battle mode in the series so far. Like, online play is excellent, split screen is buttery smooth, seamless, the load times are lightning fast, and the art design for the world is incredibly charming. And visually, while it's not as ambitious graphically as perhaps some people might expect a Switch 2 launch game, the variety and creativity of the design and the ways everything connects together is super impressive. Out of all of the open world racing games out there, this one also, it's the world I want to spend the most time in. I want to look around, I just want to experience. There's actually not as much to do in free roam as you might expect, but I mean, how great is the design of this? Look at this world. Look at what you're looking at right now. It's all super impressive, and you can tell that Monolith Soft, the co-developers of Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom along with Xenoblade, you can tell they helped with Mario Kart World. They know how to make an interesting space in open world games, and they pulled it off here with flying colors. There is so much going for Mario Kart World. In any other universe, this game would be an unequivocal slam dunk. There would be no reason not to give it a full-throated recommendation because it is an incredible Mario Kart game. But the thing is, we live in this world. This is the world we live in, and I don't think that we can talk about this game without bringing up the $80 elephant in the room. I don't want to be a downer. I don't want to bring everything down by talking about value. I know a lot of reviews, people don't like reviews that start talking about this stuff. Talk about the game, not the BS around the game. But Mario Kart World is a special case. It's the first modern $80 game. And when we say this, I don't mean the first game that has cost $80, like back in Super Nintendo days. Chrono Trigger got up as high as $90, and that was 90s money. If you adjust for inflation, that's actually $189. The margin on that had to be absolutely nuts. And really, the problem of increases in game prices are the fact that the margin has gone down as inflation has gone up. And whether inflation has or hasn't gone up, the budgets to make a game have gone up wildly. Now, this is where stuff starts to become the issue. Nintendo says they believe this game is worth the $80 price tag. Simple math. It's more than the $70 Tears of the Kingdom, it was the first and only Nintendo game to cost that much when it came out 2 years ago. In 2 years, we got a $20 price jump in games from Nintendo, and that alone deserves some serious scrutiny. To be clear, the changes in the value of money and the changes in the budgets of games did not occur over the last 2 years. So, Nintendo, a profitable company 2 years ago when they were selling games at $60, starts looking a little arbitrary, doesn't it? And is Mario Kart World worth that price? No. I don't think Grand Theft Auto 6 at $80 is going to be worth that price. Here's the problem. If you've got the cojones to come out with the first $80 standard priced game, then it has to be like transcendentally good, mind-blowingly good, a generational classic with a disgusting amount of content. And I'm just going to be frank, I don't think that game exists. I don't think it can exist. I don't think there is a game that would make me not notice the price. Mario Kart World is fantastic, but it's not that good. You get what I mean? It's another Mario Kart with a few new bells and whistles. Vehicle customization isn't even really there. That was something we had back in Mario Kart 8. And just to be frank, it feels a little predatory. They know this is the launch game everybody wants. They know they have a captive audience, and they're squeezing us in a way that I don't think anybody's really used to from Nintendo, or really any. $80 is not a standard price point. I mean, they're trying to make it the standard price point, obviously, but a Nintendo game is also a kind of specific situation. Nintendo games don't really drop in price. It's not like you're going to get this game for $30 in 2 months. It's not Ubisoft. I'm not going to harp on this because there's just too much to talk about. Like, part of the reason for price increases in video games is justified. Again, margins go down, budgets go up. That necessitates a greater cost to the customer to maintain profits. But to really formally enter that territory, this becomes a topic video. It's not a topic video. We're talking about Mario Kart World. So, with that in mind, everything I describe here costs $80. I'm going to leave it up to you to decide if that's a good value. But from here on out, I'm going to try to talk about it like it's just a game. So what do you get with it? Well, there's a standard Grand Prix mode with 7 events. Sounds weird, why not 8? But without spoilers, I'll just say do not worry, there is a reason why it's like that. There's also the new Knockout Tour mode, which is a cross-country elimination game where you race across the world through 8 different routes, and at each checkpoint, only a certain number of racers can pass. Anyone below that number gets eliminated. This mode it's super entertaining, especially playing with friends or online. It's a chaos, but an absolute delight. And it really plays into the strengths of the game's mass interconnected world. The standard time trials, of course, are there. You got your versus races. It's split-screen multiplayer options, which are, as I said earlier, freaking excellent. Very easy to use, very easy to access. Say what you want about Nintendo, but I really respect that they support full local co-op in their games, and the implementation is just great. And then there's online, which is its own beast, and I'll get into that a bit later, but in short, it's also very good. Super easy to jump into, a whole lot of fun, as long as you don't mind getting schooled by all the Mario Kart 8 sickos that have been online for 10 years now. It's not as brutal as trying to get into a fighting game, and the large player counts at least mitigate the feeling that you're getting bullied by one specific player. The game sports 24 players in a single race event, which means every online race is anarchy in a good way, but there's also battle with classic balloon game modes and coin chase. A whole lot of fun. This mode especially benefits the strong course design in the world. The battle maps are big, but not too spread out, so there's always constant action without it feeling overly crowded or out of control. Last, there is, of course, Free Roam, the open world mode, which I admit I actually had trouble finding at first. The button to go into Free Roam is actually kind of hidden at the bottom right of the menu screen. It's really easy to miss. So for a little while, I was wondering how to get in. I know they talked about it, but was I missing something? I felt like. I mean, but it's here. It's also really fun, but it's not exactly what I expected. I don't know why, but I was kind of expecting something like the Mario Golf games, but with Mario Kart, sort of like an RPG light setup with maybe a little story to follow, but that's not what you get here. The presentation isn't ambitious as a Forza Horizon game, even if the world itself is actually more fun to explore. There really isn't all that many reasons to do it. First off, there's no story to speak of in Free Roam, no characters to find, or even any full race events that you can only find in Free Roam. It's kind of just a big world with a lot of gold coins, some collectibles, a whole lot of challenges to complete. To the game's credit, like I said, it is a ton of fun to explore. We finally get to experience the old childhood dream of going off track and just exploring all those places you never got to see in the old Mario Kart game. Stuff that was off maybe in the distance or just implied to be there. And there's definitely something magical about that. despite the simplicity. The challenges dotted around the map are really fun too. It's gonna sound like a ridiculous comparison, but there's so many of them that remind me of like skate lines from Tony Hawk or Skate, where you have to accomplish a tricky sequence of grinds and jumps to reach a goal. I've been playing so much Tony Hawk 1 and 2 in anticipation of 3 and 4 coming relatively soon. I mean, it's easily the best Tony Hawk collection and the best way to play those games right now. And I just picked it up again a month or so ago for whatever reason, and I've been playing it nonstop. And I was just so reminded of that in a good way, I might add. And this is also where World's most interesting new mechanics come in. You can now grind rails and wall ride flat vertical surfaces. And when chained together, there's some pretty crazy tricks you can pull off. There's even something kind of like manuals. Again, I'm really sorry to just start talking about Tony Hawk kind of, but I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about Mario Kart. If you hold down R without turning, it's basically a drift where you're moving forward and you can do a charge jump. It allows you to jump higher to transition instantly or grind to a wall ride, but timing and positioning are tricky, and it's not exactly like Tony Hawk or you're not playing Tony Hawk as Mario Kart now. Just to be clear, it reminds me of Tony Hawk and of what I really am. I mean, a casual player doesn't really need to learn this stuff. I'll say that. In the hands of a skilled player, there's some crazy stuff you can do, but it's not something you need per se. And these mechanics, they don't dominate the game. They don't feel like gimmicks just for gimmicks' sake either. They add to the game. They increase the mechanical complexity a bit, but it feels natural. The problem with the challenges and the open world stuff in general is there's not really any incentives to do so. That's both good and bad, to be clear. I mean, I'm glad that all the rewards that we want, the vehicles, the costumes, it's all relatively easy to get. The costumes, they're rewarded by picking up dash food that appears in the open world between races. If you're playing as a character who has some extra costumes, there's a chance one is going to drop off after using the food. This can be found in any game mode, not just free roam, so you're always making steady progress on unlocks no matter how you enjoy playing the game, which I really, really like. Like, I do not like a game where you're racing and your open world stuff where you're allowed to level everything up, where they're two separate modules, so to speak. I don't like that, and that's not how this works. But also, it does kind of, like I said, remove the incentive for playing in the open world. Like, you just kind of got to enjoy the open world if that's what you're going to do. Vehicle unlocks work pretty much the same way they did in Mario Kart 8. So you just unlock stuff after collecting so many coins. New characters unlocked separately as well. Some are found by completing Grand Prix. Others you get from getting hit with one of the rare new power-ups, the Kamek power. Speaking of powers, everything from Mario Kart 8 is here, along with some returning ones from 7. But there are only actually 2 new power-ups here, and they're relatively minor. One's the coin shell, which is a shell that drops coins when you throw it, and the other's just the Kamek power. Power-up use is as essential here as it is in any Mario Kart game, but it feels just a bit less unfair. Most of the very worst ones just don't show up as frequently, which is real nice. Like I said earlier, I think. Like, the blue shell is exactly the same and still a menace, but other than that, I found myself getting less annoyed here than in Mario Kart 8. You're not going to get inked literally every race here. The power is a lot more infrequent, and I am so happy for that because, man, is that power freaking obnoxious. But there's one thing I have to mention. It's probably one of the most divisive changes in the game, though. So here's the deal. With World, they completely reworked how the traditional Grand Prix go. Instead of just being your classic run with 4 races, 3 laps each, you instead do the first 3-lap track, and then on race 2, you drive from your current track to the next one. Then you only do 1 lap around the track before moving to the next one. It's a great way to show off the game's open world, but it comes at the expense of really learning and enjoying the carefully designed and, to be frank, really highly polished tracks. You spend almost as time on these endless, wide, open roads that are basically just straight lines that take you from point A to point B. You spend as much time doing that as you do on these complex and beautifully designed tracks, to be frank. And I'm not sure if that's an improvement. It's fine as an option, but I do wish it was easier to race the tracks normally. You can't do it online unless you create a specific custom game, and even doing it in the versus mode, it's not immediately obvious. The only way to just race a traditional track is to select the open option on race selection and pick the option at the top of the list. The game really wants you to race from one location destination to another. But in general, the open world areas are just, and by nature, they can only be this way. They're just less interesting than the actual game tracks. There's no good reason to make the entire thing on the same level as the tracks. I would even venture to say that would be a detriment to the game, because what would be the point of the races? That doesn't make the fact that you have to drive in between them during Grand Prix and the races are a lap, it doesn't make it better. Maybe that's just a me problem. I don't know. Maybe people love this change. But right now, after spending a lot of time with the game, I'm not sure I think it's a net positive or a net negative. There's things I do like about the race to the track parts. I like how chaotic they tend to be, with all these racers jumbled together on an open road, dodging traffic and going nuts with power-ups. It's a mini Toad's Turnpike between every race, and that's fun. I'm really not saying it's not fun, because it is fun. It's just a little flat in terms of, you have to do it between every race in a Grand Prix. Online works the same way, too. When you join a game that's in progress, everyone's voting on their next destination. You can only pick locations directly connected to the place you're currently at, so you're literally moving around the world with each race. In general, the online experience for me has been really solid, I do have to say. Joining a race can take a little while. I did notice some rubber banding and some minor instability, but on day one, I never got kicked from a game or lost connection. Trying to be competitive online is way harder than solo, but you'll get some clutch wins in every so often. In fact, I find myself swinging between last place and first place a lot. Some might call that a negative, but for me, that's Mario Kart. You win some, you lose some. That's it's all in good fun, you know? Between races, you drive around with a slightly more limited version of the open world. You can still get collectibles, but a lot of the challenges have been removed, which is, it's understandable, but also still disappointing. Another disappointing thing is you can't even play free roam with another player, not online, not split screen. And I feel like that would be fun to team up to do challenges, just screw around with friends on the map. But currently, there's no way to do it. Doesn't mean it's never going to happen. Like I said, Mario Kart 8 ended up with 96 tracks, crazy number of tracks, and those weren't all there when the game was released. And it's reasonable to assume they will support this game beyond its initial release, because, that's what they did with Mario Kart 8. I do want to swing back around, and I mentioned that the open world portion of the game doesn't give you great rewards. I really, really meant that. As fun as the challenges are, you get stickers for finishing them. The game does not have any way to track challenges or show how much you've completed. There's not really any real reason to be a completionist here, which I kind of respect. I'm really glad free roam doesn't just feel like a bunch of busy work, but it also makes it feel a little superfluous, maybe even unnecessary. Make no mistake, I'm loving just wandering on the world, taking the sights, doing what I want. Free roam has this charmingly rambling atmosphere with the chill remixes of classic Mario tunes. Probably the most frictionless design you can imagine. But at the same time, I also feel like there's potential that is unrealized here. I don't know. I really like it. I really like that I'm not forced to do it for progression, for instance. I can do it for progression, but I can also race for progression. I can ignore free roam if I really want and still progress through this game. There are some open world racing games which are not like that. I don't remember any off the top of my head, but I do remember that there are some progression that's locked in open world bullshit in some games, and that was one of the things I was worried about with this game, and it's not there. And I'm psyched it's not there, and I'm even happy with the free roam mode. I just feel like there could be more, and maybe there will be more. I don't know. The challenges are pretty great. There are some tough ones here that are going to get you engaged too, except there's just no reason to do them. This game, for better or for worse, I think probably ultimately for better, it lets you approach it on your own terms. You spend as much or as little time as you want. You can waste 30 hours completely scouring every inch of this map, or just drop in a few hours, get your fill. The game doesn't care, and I can't help but like that, even if somewhere in the back of my head I'm like, there could have been more there. I don't know. I respect it, though. I don't particularly hate that they're not desperately trying to lock you into endless engagement. I kind of love it, in fact. It's a great game. It is an excellent Mario Kart. It might be the overall best game in the series up to this point. It's so much fun, especially with friends and online, and everything about it has the trademark Nintendo polish. Fantastic game, top to bottom, and if you're a fan of racers, of party games, or having a good time, you're going to get at least some enjoyment out of this thing. I don't know how you couldn't. And I didn't discuss it up till this point, but we're ending this video. Is this worth $80? It's not. No game is worth $80. It's not worth $80 for a base game. I absolutely do not believe that the budget for this game puts it in the same territory as Grand Theft Auto 6. Like, they need that kind of a margin for Mario Kart 8? No, they don't. Especially not if 2 years ago they were a profitable company selling games at $60. This wasn't a slow drip. We went from 60 to 70 to 80 in 2 years. I mean, that's the one blight on an otherwise just perfect entry to the franchise. Even with the little gripes, seriously, it's fantastic, and you're going to love it if $80 doesn't matter to you. That's, I think, the best way to put it. It matters to most of us, though. But what do you think? Leave us a comment. Let us know. If you like this video, click like. If you're not subscribed, now's a great time to do so. We upload brand new videos every day of the week. Best way to see them first is, of course, a subscription, so click subscribe. Don't forget to enable notifications, and as always, we thank you very much for watching this video. I'm Falcon. You can follow me on Twitter and book me on Cameo at Falcon the Hero. We'll see you next time right here on GameRanx.
They want to cheat these!